If you've never heard of propylene glycol alginate, or PGA, you're definitely missing out on a really versatile emulsifier and thickener.
And today on WTF, we're going to look at how PGA can keep your homemade Irish cream from separating. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Garin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. So today on WTF, Scott and I are going to be talking all about propylene glycol alginate, and we're going to call it PGA for short, just so we don't screw it up like I already did before. So if you're tuning in with us for the very first time, what we do here is every week we're going to cover some truly unique ingredients, techniques, show you some recipes, and hopefully get you inspired to start your own culinary adventures in your kitchen. So if you like what you see, remember to ring the bell, subscribe, and do what you need to do to make sure that you get notified of our content. It does come out every single Tuesday, so we're always cooking up something new and exciting here in the kitchen. Now, if you've tuned in with us before, you probably heard us talk about like sodium alginate and like alginates in general, but we've never talked about propylene glycol alginate. So Scott, do you want to maybe start us off with a brief explanation of, I guess, what is an alginate, and then also what's different about this particular one?
So yeah, the one we talk about most is sodium alginate. Sodium alginate is used in spherification, and basically alginate just means that it's from the sea. So algae, kelp, different seaweeds, things like that, that's where it's derived from.
Okay.
So propylene glycol alginate is propylene glycol that's derived from algae. And it's a low viscosity thickener, and what we're going to show today is how it's used to, help keep two ingredients together that generally don't. So it's similar to like emulsification, but it also does thickening, and it works with brewing and head retention in beer.
Okay, so that's a pretty wide variety of different purposes. How exactly is it used in brewing?
So yeah, it is a multi-purpose kind of ingredient. So you add it during the brewing process, and when you finish the beer and you pour the beer, it'll help with head retention. So it's a surfactant similar to like a foaming agent. I wouldn't necessarily say, add PGA to make foams.
Right.
You probably could, but it's not as good as some of the other products that we have for it. But if you add it during the brewing process, while it's in the bottle, while it's doing everything, it's not going to foam up in there. But when you pour the beer, it's going to, help retain that foam on the top of the beer, that, that nice, beautiful head that we all look for in a well-brewed beer.
Yeah, so when we're talking about something like brewing, or we're talking about emulsification, what types of ratios are we talking about? Like how much of this is somebody going to use?
So this is a great one. It is low viscosity, and it works all the way down to 0.07% of the total weight of the recipe, which is very close to what we're working with today, like an extremely small amount. So what we're going to be doing is basically a quart of liquid, and we're going to use 1 gram to that entire quart. So it's about 0.1% of the total weight, and you can go all the way to 1%. And when I was doing testing with this, I tried it out at 1%, and it just thickens way too much at that point for what we're making here, something with a high fat content. So you want to use just very small amounts, and it's just going to help keep that, with like an Irish cream like we're making, it's going to help keep that alcohol from separating away from the cream. Yeah.
So that's a really versatile ingredient, and when we were doing research for this episode, one of the things when we dive into kind of what we hear from customers, a common question that we've gotten about this particular product is this safe to use? Because when people hear propylene glycol, there's kind of an association with like basically something that you're not supposed to put in food. So what's going on there?
So propylene glycol is a food additive as well. This is propylene glycol alginate, so it is not the same thing. Propylene glycol alginate. And the reason why people get a little scared of it, or nervous about seeing it on ingredient lists, is that propylene glycol is also an ingredient that is used in antifreeze. And basically what it is, it's not the poisonous part of antifreeze. It's just the one that helps the water, bind to all. It's a solvent. It helps bind to everything else, and it helps keep the the water from freezing. So it just helps keep them together. So similar to how it's doing in this, but this is, like I said, completely different. This is propylene glycol alginate derived from kelp, completely safe, food grade. Everything we have here at Modernist Pantry is food grade, so it is safe to use.
Yeah, and that's always important to know when you're Googling, where to buy things. Always make sure you're getting exactly what you're looking for, because a lot of these ingredients, like a one-word difference or a part of a word difference, is a totally separate item. So definitely make sure that you're getting propylene glycol alginate if you are searching for that ingredient. But hopefully you're going to buy it from us at modernistpantry.com.
Yeah, it's always smart to go somewhere where you know where they're selling for food purposes, because it could be cheaper elsewhere, but not be the same thing and not be for food purposes. So always come to Modernist Pantry, right?
Yep.
That's what we want here.
Yeah, because you have different grades. You have industrial grade, cosmetic grade, food grade. So you want to get food grade. Anyway, so diving into our demos today, I know you prepared something really delicious. I see a really yummy cake that I can't wait to eat. But what do we have here? What are we looking at?
All right, so we're going to make an Irish cream.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to add the propylene glycol alginate to help keep, like I said, the cream and the alcohol together so it doesn't separate over time. And this right here is a batch that I've had for a week, just sitting in the refrigerator. There's no separation, right? So that's a very good thing. And it's going to help, just when you make it in with these, it's really nice to package them up, and we actually took a picture of it. Package them up and then give them away as gifts around the holidays. It's a very easy thing to do, but it also comes from the heart rather than from the store. So
that's what we like
with these. Yeah. So and when you hand it off, it's not like a separated Irish cream, whereas in the store you would always get one that's completely beautifully emulsified. So we're going to show a demo of how to make it and how simple it is. This is going to take less than 2 minutes. Very simply, I have some sweetened condensed milk, and I'll just start the demo right here.
Okay.
So sweetened condensed milk, and then what I did is I took an Irish whiskey, and I've seen a lot of recipes around where they add a lot of like chocolate, and I don't want anything floating inside my Irish cream. I want it to be beautiful and solid in color. So what I did is I took some coffee beans and I put them in a bag. You can see some of the coffee beans here. Let me flip it over. We can really see. Took some coffee beans and some Irish whiskey. I put them into a bag. And if you don't have an immersion circulator, you can just do this in like low simmering water for about 30 minutes, like on the stove. You can do it. I wouldn't suggest doing it outside the bag, because outside the bag that alcohol has to burn off. When it's inside of a bag, even if it's like a well-sealed bag like this, a food saver bag, something, that alcohol can't go anywhere, so it just stays inside the bag, right? If we were to cook it all off, this would just be, alcohol-free Irish cream. So what I did is,
if you're into that, go for it.
You could do that, absolutely. But here we have a coffee-infused Irish whiskey, which then I have a second one here, so I don't have to open that on camera. So I'm going to add that directly into my blender. Then I have a little bit of salt, because we want to bring out all those flavors of the coffee, but also the salt's going to cut down that bitterness. And then I have my propylene glycol alginate. So I'm just going to mix that in with my salt. It's going to help disperse it. Not that PGA clumps or anything, but if it did, like if it hit something and created a little clump, I don't want anything like that inside my recipe. So I just mix it with something like salt or sugar, whatever you have. It's going to help disperse it nice and evenly. So I'm going to throw a top on this. We're going to blend this for about a minute, and in that minute I'm going to add this, and then I'll add the cream later, because if I add the cream now and I blend it for that minute, 2 minutes, whatever it happens to be, this cream is going to turn to butter and then it's going to separate. So I don't want to do that, so I just add this right at the end, and I give 2 pulses and it stays together. All the emulsion comes from inside the whiskey and the sweetened condensed milk. So I'm going to get this started up.
So, as you're blending this, one of the things I heard you saying is you had done, our demo batch here about a week ago, and it hasn't separated. And I think that's a great way to talk about how versatile the ingredient, in terms of like, if you didn't want to do a beverage, you can also emulsify it in salad dressing, for example, right?
Yep. You can use it in salad dressing. It's widely used in things like ice cream, and it helps with that. Covering up of the ice crystals, preventing the ice crystallization. So it's, like I said, super versatile, multi-use ingredient. But this is just one of the most unique uses, because other ones don't do this. They thicken up too much, and they don't have the the emulsification properties at such low ratios like this. So.
Okay. Do you feel like this product works better with like dairy, or does it not matter because we are working with dairy today?
So emulsifiers don't necessarily worry about whether it's dairy or not. Okay. It's really about water content and fat content. Okay. So this right here, there already is some fat content because of the sweetened condensed milk. There's enough water content. There's also alcohol content. So this is something that it's going to need a little bit of extra help, and that's where it comes in. So yeah, it doesn't matter with this ingredient for dairy. I know other ingredients work really well with dairy. It helps bind to the calcium, everything like that. This one can work with pretty much anything. So I'm just going to add in my cream and then just give 2 quick pulses. So I'll pour it in. And literally the 2 pulses are just to bring it together. So it's as simple as that, and we have our Irish cream, which is ready to go.
Cool.
We can just show off the beautiful consistency of it. Nice Irish cream. But I already have one done, so I'm going to use that to pour over a little bit of ice. Because sometimes you can put this directly into coffee, or sometimes you can just put it directly into a glass, which is kind of what I like to do. And you can see the nice viscosity. Janie, I know it's a little bit early.
It's never too early.
But take a sip, let us know. And there, you can see a little bit of water on top. That's just from the ice starting to melt, so that's totally fine.
It's really nice. It tastes like it's super smooth, because I know that when we were taste testing the major store-bought brand of Irish cream, and I thought it was really, really harsh, but this is super smooth, like super mellow, and you can have it really any time of day. It doesn't, because this feels to me like my second cup of coffee right now. So
yeah, so exactly, and you get a little bit of that caffeine pop from it. But as you said, use a higher quality alcohol, something that's well made, and it's going to be less harsh, because we were trying these side by side and we're like, why is ours, it doesn't seem as alcoholic, and we were testing the amount of alcohol just by ratio, and it's like, well, it's about the same. And we actually had to bump this up just to give it a little bit more of that familiarity. So this is slightly more alcoholic than the leading store-bought brand, right? And but it's still way smoother. There's a higher fat content, so you get a nice creaminess. If you were to add this to coffee, it's going to blow it out of the water. Especially that salt content's really going to help the coffee and everything like that. If you want to learn about more, salt and flavoring in coffee, check out our MSG episode. Link in the description below.
Yeah, so this is super good.
What I did is I took this, and I went to another recipe, which we love around here, which is Tres Leche, which is 3 milks, but we like to call it Bay Leche, if you understand what that leading store-bought brand is. So I made a really dense cake. Okay. And the reason why you do this with Tres Leche is you want it to absorb as much of the liquid as possible. But I took out the sweetened condensed milk and I replaced it with our Irish cream. So there's about 14 ounces of Irish cream, 12 ounces of evaporated milk, and 2 ounces of heavy cream in here. And you can see the original poke cake is actually the Tres Leche cake. So I'm just going to give it a few pokes around, and I already kind of pre-docked it, right? So I want, as this goes in, it to absorb fully into the cake itself. So we just got to go slow, and you'll see it will take on this entire quart of liquid, just about a quart. So I'm just going to pour it over, and this is going to fill up our bread pan here perfectly. I've done it a few times.
And once you've done that, how long do you let it soak for?
So I let it soak until it looks like this. There's no real amount of time. It's going to take about 20 minutes to an hour, but I really want it to saturate all the way through. And I can't really tell that until I peel away the side and I realize there's no more liquid left in the bottom. That's the best way, and that's why I like using one of these rubber pans for it, because in a metal pan I'd have to stick a knife in there and bend it out, and I don't want to ruin the the integrity of the cake. But as you can see, the crumb structure is so nice on this is that I was able to take this cake out, which has an extra 30 ounces of liquid into it, and it sits here beautifully. And it's still super moist. It's beautiful. Yeah, you can see.
Ooh,
if I were to push it down, you can see a little bit of liquid come out of it. But you want a nice crumb structure that's going to hold on to all that liquid. We took a slice of it. We put a little bit of frosting. our brown butter frosting, which you can find in the link in the description below. Recipes all on the blog. And then one of our cherries just right on top. So it's a bit more modern take, you know, with the Irish cream and brown butter frosting and our cherry that's right on top. And Janie, indulge if you will.
This looks beautiful. It's like, I mean, at least here in Maine, we're going into the colder months, and this is like a really nice, I would say, cold weather dessert. And this is like a little bit more of the Irish cream on the bottom.
Yeah, I just threw a little bit of Irish cream on the bottom right
and
there.
I love the presentation. It looks so good.
Yeah, simple but effective.
You can have this and then this with your coffee. Oh, perfect
Yeah, it's
dessert.
quite the morning.
We recommend you eat this for
Yeah, this was a holiday thing. So when you're off from work, and you want to start the day off, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning, have a little bit of Bailey's, go right ahead. And Tres Leche cake for breakfast. Who's going to stop you?
Tres Leche's waffles.
Oh, yeah, see, everything around here. We're always coming up with ideas.
So you can get, as always, you can get all these recipes on our blog, which will be in the description. So you can get it there. Give them a shot. Hopefully you love it as much as we do. And what I think, just to kind of summarize it up a little bit, one of the things we love about PGA is just how versatile it is. You can use it to brew beer, you can use it to emulsify, you can use it to, you know, make Irish cream. You can do like so many different things with it, and you don't have to use a lot, right? It's like a teeny amount. So hopefully you'll get inspired to use it in your own recipes or try one of ours. So from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Garron. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And turn that bell on because it notifies you when we drop a new video.
If you like any of today's recipes, go to blog.modernistpantry.com. There you'll find recipes, Ask a Chefs, and tips and tricks, and more.
And if you have a friend who you think would like this video, share it with them.
And to get any of these great ingredients, just go to our website, www.modernistpantry.com.
And until next time, we'll be here in the Test Kitchen, helping you create memorable and magical experiences.